Good afternoon, students. This is Mr. Golumbos. Today we are doing chapter 3 of phase change, learning about molecular attraction, energy, and phase change. What we have learned so far, we have learned that molecules' freedom of movement allows molecules to change. So when we are transferring energy out of the system, we are making the substance cooler and it makes the molecules move slower. Freezing and condensing happens when we transfer energy out of the system. When we transfer energy into the system, we heat it up and the molecules move even faster. Evaporating and melting happen when energy is transferred into the substance. When we go from a solid to a liquid, we are melting the substance. We are adding energy to the substance. It is moving more. When we add energy to the system, the liquid becomes a gas through evaporation. When we cool down the system and energy is transferred out of the system, we go from a gas to a liquid called condensing. And when we go from a liquid to a solid, it is called freezing, and that is when energy is transferred out of the system. It gets colder. But we don't understand why are substances liquid when other solids are at the same temperature. In my coffee cup, why is the coffee liquid but the mug is a solid? Why are some substances liquids when others are solids at the same temperature? Let's compare some everyday substances. Butter and oil are in different phases at the same room temperature. Butter is a solid, oil is a liquid. The molecules are very similar to each other, but why is one a solid and one a liquid? It all has to do with molecular attraction. Molecular attraction is a pull between two molecules that is always the same for a substance. It's always the same for a substance. The molecular attraction of a substance never changes. Substances A and B have molecular attractions that pull molecules together. Olive oil has a weaker attraction, meaning that it's harder to pull them together. They are weakly attracted together. But butter has a strong attraction between the molecules, so the molecules are pulled together more easily. Different substances can either have weaker or stronger molecular attraction. Again, olive oil has weaker attraction than butter, which has a stronger attraction. Whether or not a phase change occurs is determined by the interaction between the kinetic energy of the molecules and the attraction pulling the molecules together. Butter and oil are in different phases at room temperature. Butter is a solid, but olive oil is a liquid. Butter has stronger attractions between each other. Olive oil has weaker attractions between itself. When we talk about this, we want to question how does molecular attraction affect whether or not a phase change will occur? Molecular attraction and kinetic energy exist in like a tug of war between each other. They're constantly fighting to see who wins. Molecular attraction pulls molecules close together, but the strength does not change. Kinetic energy pushes molecules apart, but the strength changes depending on the temperature. A hotter temperature means there is more kinetic energy. A colder temperature means there is a weaker or a less amount of kinetic energy. When kinetic energy wins, the molecules move faster and they heat up. The molecules change phase from a solid to a liquid through melting to a liquid to a gas through evaporation. When molecular attraction wins, the molecules move slower. It gets colder, and the molecules get closer and closer together. A gas can turn to a liquid through condensation, and a liquid can turn to a solid through freezing. A phase change occurs when the kinetic energy increases enough to overcome the attraction between molecules. A phase change occurs when kinetic energy decreases enough so that the attraction between molecules pulls them together. So, in our case, a solid will turn into a liquid if the kinetic energy overcomes the molecular attraction. A liquid will turn into a gas if the kinetic energy overcomes the molecular attraction. A gas will turn to a liquid if molecular attraction wins and beats out kinetic energy. And a liquid will turn to a solid if molecular attraction wins and beats out kinetic energy. Let's do some practice questions. Divers found two substances on the bottom of the ocean. At room temperature, both substances are liquids. Scientists then transfer the same amount of energy out of both substances. We're making the substance colder. When a scientist checked again, substance one had changed phase, but substance two had not. How are substances 1 and 2 different? Question 7. A cook had a jar containing a sweet food and a sour food. The sweet food has a weak molecular attraction. The sour food has a strong molecular attraction. The image shows the sweet and sour foods. At room temperature, both foods are liquids. The same amount of energy was transferred into both substances. Later, one of the foods had changed phase while the other had not. Which food changed phase? And how did it change? A scientist has two substances that she is testing in her lab, a pink substance and a green substance. At room temperature, both substances are liquids. The scientist transfers the same amount of energy into both substances. She finds only the pink changed phase. How is the pink substance different from the green substance? The pink substance has a... Question 16. A scientist did a test to compare two substances, substances Q and substance R. Substance Q has a strong molecular attraction. Substance R has a weak molecular attraction. Substance R has a weak molecular attraction. When the scientist transferred the same amount of energy out of both substances, we made it cooler, only one substance changed phase while the other did not. Which substance changed phase and how did it change? Good job. Those practice questions will be on the exam. Be sure to study them. Take care.